Welcome to the First Lady Point of View show, everyone. I'm your host, the First Lady Felicia K. This is where you could expect culture, music, news, reviews, fashion, and exclusive interviews. So stick around. We got a very special treat that you don't want to miss after this.
You tuned in. It's the First Lady Point of View. First Lady Point of View. You tuned in. It's the First Lady Point of View. First Lady Point of View. Culture, music, news, reviews. You tuned in. It's the First Lady Point of View. You tuned in. First Lady.
Welcome back to the show, everyone. And like I said, we have a treat for you all. I'm so honored to have this gentleman in the building. If you know, you know, man. I got none other than Joe Leavy in the building. And I want to just say award-winning Joe Leavy. Thank you for stopping by.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Oh, man, it's such a pleasure to have you. First off, I want you to tell everybody, you have such a soulful sound.
Well, thank you.
How did you establish that? Was it trial and error, or did you just come in knowing that this is kind of my lane here?
Interesting question. You know, I think you just kind of do what you do. I've been a musician a long time, and so I have a draw from a lot of different influences.
Okay.
And you just, you know, you flow into what feels good. I love music, so that's what feels good to me.
Okay.
And I try to stay in that lane.
And where are you from?
San Diego originally, born and raised.
Would you say that your upbringing kind of helped shape
Oh,
your
absolutely,
style?
absolutely. You know, I grew up in the 70s.
Okay.
You know, the late 60s, 70s. You know, some Motown. You know, my favorite bands. You know, Cameo, Anthony Lockett. You know, those are you know, Earth, Wind and Fire. So.
Okay.
You know, New Birth. You know, we grew up in the era. You know, Peebo,
Yeah.
Major
yeah,
Harris. You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
the crooners.
Yeah.
You know, you know, James Ingram. You know, so I grew up in that era. Switch.
So it was kind of easy for you.
Yeah,
to
you know, you grew up with
Yeah.
that music, the Isley Brothers. You
It
know,
was
you
easy,
grew up in the
easy call. Okay.
you know, all those guys are just, you know, the soundtrack of your life. The Whispers, OJs, you know, all of the greats. That was the best era of music there ever was. So
And you've worked with a lot of great individuals yourself.
I have had the pleasure of meeting a lot of these wonderful idols and things that I've known throughout the years and worked with a few. But the real joy is being able to share with your art and have other people enjoy it. That's the real.
Yeah, and get them to know who you are as an artist
Well,
outside
just the
of
music.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
They may never know me, but things about good music is that they live forever. You
Yeah.
know, long after I'm gone, somebody will find the music I wrote, you know, 10 or 15 or whatever years ago that I wrote, because it never gets old.
Yeah, it has substance.
It has
Substance never gets old.
If
right?
you have good music.
If you have good music. So have you always been a writer? Do you collab? Is it necessary for you to collab? Sometimes you kind
I
of
love, you know, I do collab. I work with some phenomenal producers, you know, Derek Allen, Joe Archie, Lou Lane is just newly departed, who, you know, is still suffering from each. We just laid him to rest last week, but Brian Porter, who was another brother that we laid to rest here last year. But there's so many talented. Joe Archie, I mentioned him. I worked with Sekou Bunch. I worked with just so many great artists. Juanita Wynn, who is a Grammy Award-winning singer-songwriter, is with me on this record. Jeanette Harris, who was one of my favorite saxophones.
jazz. Jeanette Harris.
Jeanette is killing.
Oh, man,
Althea Renee.
How is that working with her? She is so. She does everything to me. She's so sophisticated
Yeah,
and
she
smooth.
should. You know, well, you just said it. She's sophisticated. She's smooth. She's business savvy. You know, she handles her business and she can play saxophone like
Yes,
nobody's
sir.
business.
Wow,
So
that's
she's on the
amazing.
record. Althea Renee is on the record. I have Norbert Stachel from Tower Power fame is on the record. There's just some really phenomenal instrumentalists on this record and singers and people that contributed.
So, are you from a musical background?
You know, my mom loved music. She knew I liked music, and she supported me, you know, coming up as a kid with piano lessons and things like that. Music was just something that was a part of me. You know, my uncles are musicians, and they always took me out on the road with them, and which is where I, you know, cut my teeth, and I ended up going to Japan in the 90s and staying there for 10 years, and really that's how I earned my living. I was a full-time musician in Japan for 10 years, and I got married and raised my family and did all that. And that's what brought me back to the States was my kids and raising them up.
Okay.
And I let music go when I got back here because I couldn't afford to. Music
Keep it
couldn't.
up.
Yeah, I had to pay bills, and music wasn't doing it in America. So for 10 years, I didn't touch a record or do anything. And I was in a kind of a depressed mode, and my wife suggested I go in the studio and do some writing. And I started messing around, and I sent some songs. I was listening to the radio and heard Jay on the radio by happenstance. I don't know, Facebook or something. I got a hold of it to a podcast he was on, and I sent him some music, and that started this whole thing. He called me a couple of days later, shocked me because I didn't know him.
Right.
3 o'clock in the morning.
He is so amazing. I was just telling you before we got on air that that's how I originally was introduced to your music.
Yeah,
was listening to Jay
Jam.
King and the Traffic Jam some years back. So
I love that brother. Man.
yeah,
he
man,
is,
he put on, don't he, for the city, big
He
time.
called me up 3 o'clock in the morning. It's Jay King. I was like, what? What the hell is this? I thought somebody died.
Yeah,
He never sleeps.
Yeah, he always busy.
Jay's always working, and he said, "Man, I love this. Who's singing?" I said, "Man, I'm singing." Really? Yeah. What do you want to do? I said, "Well, maybe I can write for someone or something." He was like, "Nah, man. I think you did." I said, "Jay, I'm 50 years old." He was like, "Man, so what?"
Yeah, right.
So that was a long time ago, and here we are. 10, 12 years later, and
Doing
this
it
is the second
big.
album. Not doing it big,
Doing it
but
big.
just doing it.
I love that you're so modest.
Well, you're doing it big when you're getting called and you're in concert, that kind of thing. And I'm not that. I just the music as well. The music, I'm proud of the music, and if
Good.
people love the records, then so be it. But
Yeah.
there's no fame with this fortune. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
It's just. But I'm very proud of the music that we produced. Working with Derek Allen is absolutely one of the highlights of my musical career. He is such a genius. And I've had a chance to work with him. The great Lou Lang, who just passed away, was a strong contributor to my musical catalog.
Okay.
And Joe Archie, another one in this town that is just hugely talented. Joe Archie is one of the giants in this business, and there's just so many people, Big Mike Hart and so many others that are here, Jay Ali and, so many talented, and that, Sean Rayford and others that are just hugely talented and doing some really amazing things. Of course, you've got DL, who is a member of my band and also a phenomenal artist. Love him. Garrett Perkins. There's so many people here. The BAP Notes and just so many incredibly talented
yeah.
world-class musicians in this town. Jimmy Morris and Juju and the
We
Brookins
really
brothers.
don't gotta go outside for it. You don't.
No, there is a wealth of talent here that is rivers deep
Yes.
and oceans wide. It's just unbelievable. And what I love most about being in this town is I can call Derek Allen and he'll pick up that phone.
Yeah.
That's the thing that's different about here is these brothers are accessible to the young talent that's here, and that's why they just
And
continues
they don't
to grow.
gatekeep.
They
And
don't gatekeep.
everyone I reaced out to, it was like, yeah, when you need it, I got
And
you.
they
Let's
don't
do it.
gatekeep. Joe's another one. These guys are, are Grammy award-winning, multiple Billboard chart-topping producers that we really require that level of, but they don't act like that. They're humble. Joe's one of the most humble people I've. And same with Lou. Lou, God rest his soul, was one of the most humble characters, and that's what you find with great musicians.
Yeah.
Is humility.
Yeah.
It's usually the ones that are.
Yeah.
That always have that air about them and think
Yeah.
that they're more than they are.
I mean, unfortunately, this is true, right? Let's go back a little bit. You said that you spent 10 years in Japan. How was that compared to here? I know you said the work was more steadfast, but as far as the experience culturally, how was that for you in your style of music?
I love Japan.
Okay.
There isn't a thing about Japan that I don't like.
Okay.
Okay. The Japanese are amazing. Give an example. One of the serious incidences that I had.
Okay.
I was there approximately 9 months. I had just gotten married. My new wife was pregnant with my baby. And in January 17th of 1995, we had the great Hanshin earthquake
Okay.
in Kobe. It was 7.6
Wow.
on the Richter scale. I'm gonna say that again, 7.6. And the place that my ex-wife and I lived at that time was on the 25th floor of this huge government building, government apartments, but we're on the top floor. And so, you know, if you shake a stick, it moves the most at the top.
Right.
Now we're a few miles from the epicenter, but nevertheless, it was 7.6, and I've never been so violently tossed around in a space like that. That was the most incredible 67 seconds of my life. We really thought it was over.
Wow.
I thought we were going to end up in 25 floors of concrete. It was that violent. And so we didn't die, obviously, but the city was just destroyed. There was no looting. There was no hoarding. There wasn't no pushing, no fighting, no shoving. Everybody was helping everybody, including me, the guy Gene, the foreigner, handing out water when they got temporary housing. They gave me temporary housing for my family. It was the biggest expression of human kindness and respect and countrymen. I felt what a countryman is. The Japanese showed me, this is Japan, this is what we do. We look out for each other.
And they're known for being respectful.
Oh my goodness. Go in the store, nobody's running in, grabbing 10 rolls of toilet paper, none of that. They go and grab one, look over, hand me one, make sure my family had. Everything that they gave to the Japanese, they gave to me and my family, and I never will forget that.
That's what's I love hearing
over $490 million in cash found and returned. Wow. Because people don't steal. A lot of the Japanese elderly people, they don't put their money in banks.
Right,
They put it under the mattresses and places. So when all this rubble, they found all this cash, and they had this cash bank and people brought their bank books, and to their degree, they tried to figure out and make sure everybody got back to what.
Oh my goodness. Would you go back? I would take that as a big yeah.
I didn't want to leave.
Okay.
But life required me to leave there. But it was an amazing experience. Yeah, my ex-wife was Japanese. My kids are half. So
okay. So you already had some experience with the culture then, a great deal.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
First time I never felt black.
Well, guess what?
I am black, but I never felt it.
Okay.
That wasn't the thing. Of course, being black was an anomaly.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a weapon.
Okay. I get it.
It wasn't that kind of thing. First time I was actually someplace where
you just felt like a human
where
being.
I was just a gaijin. I don't care. You a gaijin, you gaijin. You can be green, white, yellow, green. If you're not Japanese, you gaijin.
Okay.
And I love that about Japan. My nephew, my Japanese nephew, my ex-wife's sister's son, who I raised up from a kid, so I was only American, he knew. And
wow.
I'm melanated. So he met some non-melanated Americans. And he said, no, you're not no American. He told him, you're not American.
You're not the one that I'm looking for.
You're not American. My uncle's American, you're not American. Because everybody he met in my circle looked like me.
Okay.
So he equated me with being American. And that was the funniest thing, because he told my friend who was American, no, you're not no American.
Yeah.
Because he thought American meant
that goes to show kids is what you raise them up to know,
right? American meant black. That was the cutest thing. But that's just how innocent love is.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Kids are taught hate, right?
They're taught hate.
They're taught hate and prejudice. They're not born like, they're not born like that. And that's a great testament to that.
That's what I love about Japan.
Okay.
Foreigners, they don't have any particular foreigners they hate over the other.
Okay.
Foreigners are foreigners, and if you go there and respect them, they'll
respect you. As simple as that.
They're having an issue right now because foreigners are coming there and being disrespectful.
Yeah.
And so they're gonna make some changes to the society, because they're not gonna let Japan turn into America.
Well, they should.
No, we're different.
Yeah.
We don't have a centuries-old customs and culture.
Very rogue.
Japan's culture is 5,000 years old.
Okay.
Okay. Americans' culture comes from other people. We have a culture, right? The Latino have a culture. Everybody has a homogenous culture, but America really isn't a cultured there isn't really American culture other than baseball.
And greed. Hold that thought. We'll get back into it. All right, you guys, stick around. We'll be right back after this short break. We're talking to none other than Joe Leavy.
First lady point of view. You tuned in.
Fog, or fats, oils, and grease, can make its way in your sink, letting it to clog, spew out gunk, or causing it to overflow. Pretty terrible, right? Well, here's how to prevent it. First, when you're done eating, let the finished food scraps cool off. Once hardened, dispose of it by putting it in a can. Then finally, putting it in the garbage. Treat sinks like our friends, not toxic. Learn more at sexsewer.com.
First lady point of view. You tuned in.
Welcome back to the show, everyone. We're talking to none other than Joe Leavy. I want you to tell me a little bit about, here's his latest project, you guys, Soul on Fire. All right, so make sure you guys get that. And if you want to know how you can get it, I'm going to have him tell you guys a little bit later on in the show, okay? Tell me a little bit about your process making Soul on Fire.
Wow, this album took almost a decade to make.
Okay.
After we did A Guy Named Joe Leavy, I knew I was going to do another record. But the thing about making records for me is I had to live some life. Mm-hmm. So this is the story of the last 10 years of my life. So I had a divorce, all these different changes happened and things, loss of my father and all the things that go on in your life. And it's all in this record.
Okay.
So.
Your grandmother, was she a big part of your life?
Ooh, Lord have mercy. Margaret Leavy? Yes,
Yeah,
she was.
Because you have one of your favorite songs, my favorite songs that you have. You're talking about that.
Oh, Soul on Fire.
Yeah,
My grandmama.
your grandmother, and that's the title,
Yes,
right, of the
title.
project. So
Yeah.
I wanted to touch on that a little bit because I said, oh, he has to have a dynamic relationship with
Yeah.
his grandmother
Yes,
because
ma'am.
the song, I just felt like I knew her listening to
You
the
had
record.
one of them too, didn't you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, man. Lizzie King was the GOAT.
Come on, you know what I'm saying?
So I know exactly.
But that's what's missing in our communities now.
Oh, yeah.
That part.
Yeah.
Those grandmothers.
Yeah. Well, because you know where we are now, and sometimes my point of view could get me in a little trouble, but where we are at now, this generation of grandmothers, right? You can't tell the grandmother from the grandchild because they all at the Massa tour together.
All by design.
Yeah. And it's just, I'm gonna say to me, it's disheartening.
It is.
I think we need the separation of generations because that's how we teach and we grow. If we trying to move like our kids and our grandkids, then we're not getting that generational wisdom, right?
Well, you have to understand who this generation of grandparents are. This is the generation of the 80s grandparents, right?
Yeah.
And that was that epidemic.
Yeah, you know what?
That swept through.
Yeah, you know what?
Right?
Come
So
on.
this is what they were trying to produce in the whole nine. You can't stop a people as long as their women is doing great.
Yeah, that's it. Okay.
You got to kill the women to kill
Thank
the
you for that
tribe.
insight.
See, y'all are balling. Y'all are the number one most educated, most dynamic demographic in the country.
Yeah.
And so this is what they're coming for. That's why the bad, bees and all this whole different turn of events, the culture is changing. The women now are all, everything's different about us.
It's different, yeah. It's different.
We don't want to be different world now. We want to be Cardi B.
Come on, man.
Remember
Yeah,
Different World?
yeah.
When everybody wanted
I love
to be
Different World.
Everybody was going to college.
Everybody was going to college.
Come
It
on.
started a whole epidemic. Like you had, I'm going to college. That was the
All
thing. Everybody
time
wanted to go
high.
to HBCUs.
Yes.
They said that Debbie Allen recently talked about how
Yes.
the enrollment rate
All-time high.
quadrupled. It was at an
All-time
all-time high.
You know what's at an all-time high now? Black on black crime and murder.
And that's sad that we took that major turn. Like, that was such a backwards hustle. We'd been there, right? We'd done that.
Look at the shows.
Yeah.
They went from Cosby to BMF.
Yeah, come on, man. Whew.
Come
We
on.
can talk about it all day.
This
You're
what these
right.
and now the women are gangsters.
Yeah. And,
You know?
and it's interesting that you said that about
It used to be doctors, right? I'm not a doctor. I play one on TV.
Yeah,
Remember that?
yeah.
I'm not a gangster. I just play one on TV.
You know what? It's interesting that you said that about BMF. I commend 50 Cent for what he's doing with the whole putting people in position, the media mogul that he's turned into. But when they announced that they was canceling it, I'm sorry people lost their jobs because I'm a huge Tasha Smith fan and she was the director. But at the same time, it's like, did we really need it? Do we know the story? Yeah, we know the story. We know how it ends.
As a grandfather, God bless whoever made the decision to cut it off.
Hello.
We can do more. We can do better. Our imaginations can be better. We don't always have to be the thug in the street.
Yeah, I mean, I get the diversity, right? You want to talk about a little bit of everything, because especially when the stories have a good ending. I'm big on that. I love a good, this is where I started and this is where I'm at, right?
Where's Living Single? Remember Living Single?
Well, they gave that to
Come on.
Friends.
I'm just saying.
They turned that into Friends. That's how the girls got canceled. It's a whole backstory to that.
I know that, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, that's where it went. We back to that.
We had some really great shows.
Yeah.
Sisters, there was some really great shows that showed healthy relationships.
Yeah.
All of a sudden now we toxic. We housewives, and I don't know, but I don't relate to my friends like that.
Well, I get that.
This toxic, logic that's pervasive in the community now, where everybody.
And it's interesting that you said that about you, because music does play a big part, right? And
humongous.
I think it's a universal language that everybody, some type of way, whatever genre it is, it shaped us, right?
So much so.
So
much so.
Yeah.
That the culture now, the music that is permeating our culture, is only directed at our culture.
Okay.
No other community has the kind of music messaging that our community has now.
Okay.
We were the community of the moral class.
Yeah.
We were the moral character of this nation for decades. The black community was the moral character, was the moral high ground of America. All of our music, the Motown sound, the Philly sound, that was about love and community and family, right? That's what made us great, was the fact that we could come together and be together and fight against anything together.
Yeah.
That's not the messaging now.
It still goes right back to that, having that
Sisters
grandma,
hate each other.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Hating each other.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Everything is different.
Yeah.
I remember Pam Grier. I remember the sisters back in the day, the Ebony Jet. We couldn't wait to see who
was gonna be in it.
Who was gonna be the sister with the afro and the afro?
Cover.
Come
Yeah,
on, man.
yeah.
And hey, it was all natural, and man, it was just
It was the thing.
that was us. But now we lost, and we got to
Everything
get
is watered
again.
down. I mean, you look at BET. What is turning?
I can't look at BET.
Yeah, it's different now that it's Paramount. I'm like, oh my goodness, this
It's
is
not us. We don't own it no more, and it's turning to junk.
Yeah,
I
that's
can't. And I love us.
Me too.
I really do. But I'm not afraid to say what's ailing us right now.
Well,
and as a father, as an elder in the patriarch of my family, I keep it 100%. Man, when we had Jesus on Sunday, and he was on the main line, and everybody in the community had a connection, not to the religion, but to the love.
Right.
The religion has always been what it was, but the love that we had is what manifests in our community over and over and over again, right? That's what had us walking out there, we shall overcome, in suits and ties and pearls, walking down the street, because we knew we was better than what was being done, right? These kids don't even know now. They can't speak, they can't comport themselves. I'm afraid for the youth, because as an entrepreneur, as a man with a construction company and business, I look to try to hire some of these young men. They're not ready.
They're asking to say they don't want that kind of job.
They can't comport themselves. They don't know how to speak. They don't know how to come out, and they have no work ethic. And I'm not hating on them. This is just
because
a status.
and this is not this. And it's not all of them that are like that. We got to be fair.
The mass majority of our kids are having some real issues right now.
Yeah.
And it's the leadership.
Yeah, that's where it really does go back to that. Like we were saying, that having like that grandma presence and that grandfather. Like my grandparents were great. I was even fortunate enough to still have my great grandparents when I was an adult.
But they hadn't attacked us like they did now.
Yeah.
See, when we was coming up, we still had parents at home. Many of us. Yes. Right. Then in the 70s, they started to put the men out of the families in the early 70s. That's when in the late 60s and 70s, is when they started passing out them checks, but you couldn't have a man at home. And it was all of that thing.
Yeah.
All these things was aimed at our community.
Yeah.
Just us. Now, we were the very small recipients of these things, because SNAP benefits have always gone to larger communities than us, but it devastated our community. We financed the civil rights movement, so they was like, we got to break that up. Let's get the men out the family so that they don't have that base. So they promoted all the women in the early 60s and late 60s and 70s. They started promoting the women in the workforce. That's what broke up the black family. When your daddy don't make, he ain't the breadwinner no more, he don't feel like the breadwinner
You're
no
not
more.
the head, yep.
That's what happened. I saw it happen on both sides of my family with my grandparents.
Wow.
My grandmothers became gainfully employed, and that changed the whole dynamic for both my grandfathers.
Yeah.
They went from handing out money to, oh, she don't need my money no more. That was a whole different dynamic, and a lot of the brothers couldn't handle it.
They couldn't, that masculinity and feeling emasculated.
It was a tough thing.
Yeah.
You know, and then there were people that had nuance, like my father, who just was an amazing example of a man. I mean, he was just, that's just what he was, and I love that. I miss him to this day. But he was a great example of a man that raises a family and taught us the right things to do. And
All right, well, you know what? We could talk about this forever, but unfortunately, I got to get one important question into you. I want you to tell me, where do you see yourself 5 years from now musically as an artist? What does that look like for you?
I think in 5 years, I don't think I'll be still recording.
Okay.
I think I'll be doing more traveling then and really just more kind of pouring into the young ones coming up behind me. I'm really getting into my nieces and nephews.
Okay.
I've really had a good time. I think I may do one more EP.
Okay.
Because I'm really not happy with what's going down right now.
Yeah.
And I'm really feeling this young artist, Kirby.
Okay.
She's amazing. She's just rewriting the game right now with her, you know, struggle songs and all of these things that she's doing, and it's really motivated me because I love that.
Okay.
She reminds me of a young Marvin Gaye in a female sense.
Okay.
And I don't know if you've heard of Kirby, but if you get a chance,
Check it out.
check her out. She's an amazing, she's from Mississippi, amazing young sister.
Well, I want you to tell everybody how they can check you out. Tell them your social media platforms and how they can get involved in the most recent project. All
right. Well, Soul on Fire, you can get on my website or you can get it at iTunes. My website is Joe Leavy on Facebook. You'll find me there. And you can also find me Joe Leavy 100 on X and at Joe Leavy 100 on, I think that's TikTok or friggin', I don't know, Instagram and all of that stuff.
All the things. We'll have it on the lower thirds when the episode airs next week.
Get at me, find me on Facebook, guys. We're going to have a lot of great music coming out. We got some great Christmas music coming up for the holidays. And
yeah, we got some of that.
I'm looking forward to sharing that with you. And,
okay.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, man, I appreciate you. We got to have you come back. I mean, next time when you come back, we're going to get into, we're not just going to talk about music, because I see you're good conversation. We need to converse more about the climate, if you will. All right, I would love to do that with you.
I would love to do that too.
I have a segment called Straight to the Point. I would love for you to come and let's get straight to the point about some things.
Please invite me. I would love to.
All right, it's a done deal. I love you for taking the time to come out and break bread with us. And you guys make sure you tap in to all his platforms. Everything will be up on the screen. And make sure you go get Soul on Fire. I promise you, you will not be disappointed. None other than Mr. Joe Leavy himself stopped by and blessed me, man, today. I'm so excited.
Thank you,
oh, man, I got my full dose. Till next time, reach back for those that are coming up behind you and pay homage to those who did it before you. It's free, and you'll feel good about yourself. I promise you will. Peace, one love. May God bless your hustle, and we are out of here.
You tuned in. It's the First Lady point of view. First Lady point of view. You tuned in. It's the First Lady point of view. First Lady point of view. Culture.